I was in fact hesitant to do this video because of the fact that, well, we've already done 3 videos, but what changed my mind was the fact that um Impact Wrestling has sacrificed tonight, and it isn't just Josh Alexander that is now on the shelf with a torn tricep. Apparently, current Knockouts champion Mickie James is also suffering from an injury, and the future of the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship will be addressed at Sacrifice tonight, with Mickie James being live there in Windsor, Ontario. If there was ever a worse time for the world title to be, for an injury to happen, not only is it during this time of year, but also it is when not just one champion is now injured, but 2 champions are now injured. And I mean, it's a rare sight. I mean, I used to be somebody that was very for the idea of the unoccasional reset. Vacate the title, start fresh, make everything new, blah 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is, it is not easy. It's never fun when you see people get injured, and especially when, I mean, Mickie James winning the Knockouts Championship was a payoff of the last rodeo, and it was months and months of build, months and months of Mickie proving that she still had it in her. Unprecedented, the unprecedented run for Mickie James that she was on. It is a shame, much like it was with Josh Alexander, that her title reign may have to come up like this. But we will get an update later tonight on what to expect from Impact Wrestling and their Knockouts champion, because initially the plan was for Sacrifice to have Mickie James defend the Knockouts championship against Jordynne Grace, and that was, in fact, a highly anticipated matchup. But the fact of the matter is, that match is now off because of the fact, more than likely, that match seems to be off, as Mickie took to Twitter and said, injuries happen, but she will be back better than ever at 100% when the injury is, when she's 100% healed, as she did not elaborate much on Twitter about the injury, as she said she would elaborate on everything tonight on Impact's Sacrifice pay-per-view event, which already lost Josh Alexander, as Josh suffered a torn triceps, and I believe there was a 6-man tag team match planned tonight with the Time Splitters, the Time Splitters, which are Alex Shelley and Kushida, alongside Alex Shelley's partner Chris Sabin, against Kazarian, Steve Macklin, and Kazarian, Steve Macklin, and somebody whose name is eluding me, in a 6-man. Initially, it was supposed to be Kazarian, Josh Alexander, and their partner against the Time Splitters and the Kushida and the Motor City Machine Guns, but it went a different way. They had to go a different way because of the injury, as Macklin took Alexander's spot. But now we will get an update later tonight on the future of Mickie James and what happens to the Knockouts Championships. I mean, what happens to the Knockouts Women's Championship, or the Knockouts Championship? I mean, I could see Jordynne Grace fighting a new opponent and a new champion being crowned. But honestly, when I saw this in the news video from Cultaholic, I expected almost that they were going to talk about Josh Alexander, that they were not going to talk about Mickie James. But the fact that now both Mickie James and Josh Alexander are not only suffering from injuries, but forced to have both their titles vacated, I mean, it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. I will go more into depth in the Supercard of Honor, but right now the announcement has been put down that Claudio Castagnoli and Eddie Kingston will finally collide at Supercard of Honor for the Ring of Honor World Championship in the main event. as Eddie Kingston left AEW, quitting AEW a few weeks ago and appeared on the debut episode of Ring of Honor on the Honor Club, setting up this rivalry with Claudio Castagnoli, which is something that is widely known in the independent wrestling fandom about the history that Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli have from their days back in Chikara. The only question now is Eddie going to be the man who dethrones Claudio Castagnoli as Ring of Honor World Champion, or will Claudio remain Ring of Honor World Champion? I think it's like they mentioned in the Cultaholic video again, that if anything, Claudio will drop the title eventually to Eddie Kingston, but to say that they will drop the title to Eddie Kingston in this one match, and it will only be one match, I highly doubt that. I could see a dirty finish for this matchup, and Eddie Kingston coming back, Eddie Kingston and Claudio coming back, and them being the feud of 2023 for Ring of Honor. As far as the television title, it is Samoa Joe and Mark Briscoe for the TV title, as Samoa Joe defends the television title against Mark Briscoe. And the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles will be defended as new champions will be crowned with Aussie Open, Top Flight, the Lucha Brothers, and another team competing for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles, which were vacated by Mark Briscoe after the sudden passing of his brother. After the sudden passing of his brother Jay a few months ago. Shifting over to WWE, shifting over to the main roster per se, with AEW, Jamie Hayter has been missing from programming for the last couple of weeks, and the fact of the matter is, she has been having visa issues, so she's been over in our home country of England, sorting out the visa issues to be able to get back to AEW. I am honestly hoping and praying that AEW keeps it the way it is and does not go the route of having an interim champion, even if Jamie Hayter's going to be gone for a bit, because you never know how long it's going to take to get through the visa issues. The teams that were missing, by the way, were Dralistico and Rush, and the Kingdom. So it is the Kingdom, Dralistico and Rush, Lucha Brothers, Aussie Open, and Top Flight in a 5-way ladder match to crown the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions in the Reach for the Sky ladder match. And also, if that wasn't enough, Supercard of Honor will have the AAA Mega Championship match between El Hijo del Vikingo, and Commander, which should be a banger of a matchup for the AAA Mega Championship. But also, again, Jamie Hayter is having visa issues, so maybe a little bit before you see her again, and we will break down the entire card for Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor, set to take place at the Gallon Center in Los Angeles on Friday, March 31st. As we get a little bit closer, because the interesting thing to note, let me just drop this nugget down, that Brian Cage's contract is set to be expiring sometime in April, and Brian Cage is currently 1/3 of the Ring of Honor World Trios Champion with the rest of the embassy, so it is possible that Supercard of Honor could be Brian Cage's final show in Ring of Honor, and he could look for greener pastures up at the E. But also, you still got the likelihood of Ember Moon and Wheeler Yuta having matches at Supercard of Honor for their respective championships. So there is still more to be announced, and that is fair to say, because with that being said, we are officially a week away from Supercard of Honor live on pay-per-view. With that being, we got one more thing to get to, and that is, the match may not be announced yet, but Rey Mysterio will have Legado del Fantasma in his corner if the match does take place between him and Dominic at WrestleMania, as Legado del Fantasma has been watching the back of the future Hall of Famer over the last couple of weeks. So Legado del Fantasma will do what they can to keep Dominic and Judgment Day in check at WrestleMania, it is very likely that whatever happens with Legado del Rey Mysterio and Dominic, the match will be announced before WrestleMania, and I'm thinking that the match will take place at WrestleMania. The one thing I just want to point out before I go is whatever does happen tonight at Impact Wrestling's Sacrifice event in Windsor, Ontario, I will let you guys know in the news videos tomorrow what happens, because it is crazy. It would be crazy to think that 2 world championships, both the world title and the Knockouts championship, could be vacant at the exact same time. With that being said, though, I will see you in the next news video, and I hope you enjoyed this little cut-in and random bit of news for your viewing pleasure. See you in the next